that I've never heard before, and I think it bears repeating. Iran is sort of a government within a government. You have the regime that's there, but then, like you said, the military is seemingly the shadow government that's really running things there. And that's why I always had a problem with deciding whether or not Iran would be a good faith partner in entering to any sort of multilateral agreement. So I think that's a very important point to bring out. I think you nailed it totally. Listen, I love guests like you, Sarah, because you make my job easy. I just have to ask one question, and you have all the facts at your fingertips. It's absolutely amazing. So the bottom line is, when it comes to this deal and it comes to the new policy, how are we even supposed to know whether or not Iran is violating the agreement when we can't get to the information we need? We can't get access to the place we have to get to because of, the idea of, well, this is military and you can't go there. How do we even, trust and verify here?
Sure. Well, Gina, I need to give you credit also because you know how to write the right question, to ask the right questions. So that credit really goes to you. Now, in terms of the, how we can really know about the true nature of the nuclear program, definitely it starts with inspections. It starts with access. You cannot rely and have faith in the Iran regime's own claims that, yes, we're just all peaceful and we don't have a nuclear weapons program and all of that. Especially if there is a history, there is a track record of nearly 30 years of lying and cheating, and every site that the IAEA is now inspecting are the ones that were exposed, not, originally released the information by the regime itself. So you need to, you have a legitimate reason to be skeptical, to say the least. And you need to be fully reliant on inspections on the site, on the ground, to be able to talk and speak and interview the top nuclear experts who can provide information. And that's how, nuclear weapons programs in different countries were dismantled. Look at the case of South Africa. When they really wanted to go after the nuclear weapons program, which they had, it led to, very, very, very strong inspections. It led to dismantling certain portions of their program. And eventually it just led to the elimination of the whole, nuclear program of South Africa. That's how seriously we should deal with it. And honestly speaking, knowing the nature of this regime, knowing how tricky they are, at the end of the day, no matter, how hard you try, there may not be, enough means to really prevent the Iran regime from building the bomb. And that's why the real solution really comes in changing the regime by the people of Iran. And that way you eliminate the nuclear weapons program threat, you eliminate their missile program threat, you eliminate their terrorism and export of Islamic fundamentalism, and the threat of suppressing their own population. So just think about it for a minute. A free Iran, a democratic Iran, a secular Iran, a non-aggressive Iran, a peaceful Iran, what an impact it would have in the whole region. How it would impact Iraq, Syria, Yemen, and the whole Persian Gulf region. And the rest of the world, and it would make the world much, much safer than it is today. And it's doable. It's within reach. It's not just an idealistic thing. Why I say it? Because as we speak, people are in the streets of Tehran and other cities. There are demonstrations going on every single day. Just yesterday in Tehran and also down south in Khuzestan province, which is the oil-rich province, there were dozens of demonstrations against the regime's officials and the government who's plundering the money and resources of the population. And they were chanting that we need to get rid of the rule of the clergy. And they said, forget about Syria and start thinking about us. Basically opposing the involvement of the Iran regime in Syria and other places. So, it's shaping up right now. All we need to do is really embrace it. All we need to do is to make sure that the policy of the United States is based on the recognition of the rights of the people of Iran for change and try to stand on their side. That's all they need to do.
Well, listen, we can do an entire week of shows on this. I mean, we can do a show every day, basically, and still unearth more information from you, Alireza. Thank you so much for doing this. Folks, if you want to find out more about this topic, and I think it's very important that we all educate ourselves on this, you need to check out the National Council of Resistance for Iran. Go to www.ncrius.org. Also on Twitter at NCRIUS, and they're also on Facebook as well. They're on all the social media. And if you want to find out more from probably one of the most knowledgeable guests we've ever had on the show, Alireza Jafarzadeh, check him out at AlirezaJafarzadeh.org. We're going to put it on the website, don't worry, so you don't have to misspell it. And also we'll put his Twitter on there. And, of course, a link to his book that he wrote, pretty prophetic, by the way, The Iran Threat, President Ahmadinejad, and the Coming Nuclear Crisis. He warned us all this was coming, folks. Alireza, thank you so much for coming on the show. And we'll have you on again very soon as current events dictate and develop in the region. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity, Gene. Appreciate it.
Behind Enemy Lines. Gene and Russ, back behind enemy lines. I want to thank Alireza Jafarzadeh for coming on the show. A whole lot of information, Russ. I was really taken back by his comments and his analysis that we may not really be talking to the power in Iran, that the Republican Guard and that their military is where it's at. I never thought that there was that much of an onion in the Iranian government, but it looks like we haven't gotten to the core of it.
And we never will. Listen, President Trump is 100% right on this. Let Congress have the final say on any treaty-type thing that we're going to have with Iran. And he basically punted it back to Congress, which is where it should have been to begin with.
Absolutely. But listen, speaking of other issues internationally, and, I hate to bring up Russia, but let's bring up Russia, because we have seen in the past week the Russian narrative being turned on its head thanks to some intrepid reporting by Sarah Carter and people at The Hill and people at Circa News talking about how the Clintons may be the ones who colluded with Russia.
Whoa. The Clintons?
Yes, Russ, I don't know if you've heard this or not, but there's story going around now, and maybe it's only in conservative circles or whatever, the idea that the Clintons received money in the form of speakers' fees and other donations to the Clinton Foundation in exchange for approving a deal for Uranium One to purchase 20% of our uranium stockpile. And the latest in that story is that the FBI, according to The Hill, and it's a story by John Solomon, that the FBI watched then acted as Russian spies moved closer to Hillary Clinton, talking about a female Russian spy posing as an American accountant. We gotta let Diana know about this to be careful and watch out. Using a false identity to burrow her way into the employ of a major Democrat donor in hopes of gaining intelligence on Hillary Clinton's job at the State Department. The spy was then arrested and deported as she tried to get closer to the State Department by the FBI. Again, where's where's the collusion? The collusion is going to be on the Democrat side. All of this, by the way, coincides, Russ, with a $500,000 check from a Kremlin-linked bank provided to Bill Clinton for a single speech in the summer of 2010. Coincidental, of course.
But wait, Gene, what were the Russians trying to do back then?
They were trying to purchase nuclear-grade uranium. And,
Uranium?
Yes, I don't know if you know about this. This has been all over the news.
Wow.
Where have you been?
So, round and round we go, folks. Where it stops, nobody's going to know. So, let me get this straight. It turns out that the real collusion, I don't know if you remember this, Gene. Remember when the hot mic incident with President Obama, when he leaned over to old Medvedich or whatever the hell his name was and said, hey, tell Vlad once I get reelected I'll have more flexibility in my second.
Yes, I do remember that. Yes.
And what happened in that second term? We sold lots of uranium to Russia. And who was on the council that had to make an approval for that? Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Wow, the dots are all getting connected, the pieces falling into place. Who got money out of that deal? They always say follow the money.
Yes, follow the money, but believe it or not, all of this happened in Obama's first term. So imagine the flexibility that he was talking about for the second term.
No, but Yes, no, 100%. But guess what? The uranium is still going in that direction, even in Trump's term. Trump needs to put a stop to this immediately. Immediately. Those deals that were put into place is still allowing uranium to leave the country and go to Russia and other places in Western Europe. We have to stop this deal. It's astonishing to me. I keep using that word, and like I almost need like a fan because I'm so overheated right now. This is borderline treasonous. I don't know what else it could be. We're selling uranium to a country that Hillary Clinton herself says is the enemy now. She just wrote a book on how Russia and what they did in the election to her was somehow the equivalent of a digital 9/11, which right on its face, she needs to get slapped in the face for that, saying something ridiculous like that. But if that were true, madam, what was the Russia reset button when you first came to power as Secretary of State? Why did you and your husband continue to collect fees that went into the Clinton Foundation, madam? Why did you keep doing that if they are the enemy and they did something the equivalent of a digital 9/11? What a disgrace. I really hope that she runs for president again. I really hope. Gene, wouldn't you not pay money to see her go against Trump again?
Oh, I think that would be my dream battle again. I'd love to see this rematch. Are you kidding? Especially when given these issues. Absolutely.
And what is this knucklehead Mueller investigating still? Like, how long is this investigation going to go on?
Oh, by the way, Russ, that's a major piece we're missing right now. Who was the head of the FBI at the time that this was all happening? Bob Mueller.
Name Mueller sounds familiar. Yeah, I believe he was.
There you go.
So does he not have a vested interest in saying that somehow Donald Trump and the Republicans are responsible for all of this, all of this stuff that went on with Russia? Of course he has a vested interest. He's knee deep in it. Himself.
By the way, I want you to see the lines and the dots being filled in here. Listen to these issues. Issue 1, the Russian nuclear company that was purchasing the company Uranium One out of Canada, the bank that was used to pay the $500,000 to Bill Clinton was the same bank, if I'm reading this correctly, it appears to be the same bank that was part of that Uranium One deal. How about that? Let's just start there. Okay, the check caught the attention of the FBI agent, especially with Hillary Clinton having recently returned from meetings in Russia. So right around when Bill was collecting this $500,000, Hillary Clinton was at or around that time in Russia doing the whole reset button, if you remember that. And, the Uranium One deal then happens, and then after that, another Russian company called 10X expresses a desire to conduct nuclear sales to U.S. companies, and then Secretary Clinton herself made a promise to Russian leaders to round up support for America's Silicon Valley and then Russian President Medvedev's dream of a new high-tech hub outside Moscow to come together. And by the way, and like I said, the bank that paid Bill Clinton was promoting the Uranium One deal's stock.
And for all you Hillary fans out there, I wonder why she erased a lot of emails, Gene. Why would she do that?
Seriously.
Why would she erase all of her emails before the presidential election? I don't know. That sounds crazy.
Especially since all this is on the up and up.
Let's listen to Bernie Sanders.
You know what? This is all on the up and up. I don't know what you're talking about, Russ. We're being conspiracy theorists. We might as well be Alex Jones right now saying connect the dots. Come on.
Gene, we had a friend named Tom back in the past, and what did that judge say about his credibility or his testimony?
Oh, not credible. Yes.
Not credible. That's it. So the Clintons and their email scandals and the connection to the Russians, just not credible. Gene, can you believe it? I mean, I used to say this about Obama, but it's true really of all of the Democrats. And I think that Donald Trump has mastered somewhat the tennis ball method of politics. Where
oh, yes, absolutely.
You got to picture the average person is standing on one side of a tennis court, and the other person on the other side has several tennis ball machines, and they're just launching them at you. And as good as you are at tennis, you can only hit a few back at a time. Lots of money to get by you. Now, the Republicans were never masters at this tennis ball machine thing. Donald Trump is pretty good at it. Every day he's in the news with something new that they can't keep up, and he's running circles around them. But as far as scandals go, Obama and the Clintons are those tennis ball machines. We can't keep up. And what happens is most of them just go to the wayside. If you notice, the Russia collusion thing with Donald Trump, that's almost died out now. Why is that? Why is the mainstream media, CNN, they're almost not even talking about that anymore? Why not?
Oh, it's simple, Russ. They're letting Secretary Mueller dig up all the evidence that he can, and then it'll pop up later on. That's why they're doing it.
If this was a digital 9/11 against our country, against the